Barry Svrluga of the Washington Post. Good to talk to you. And last time we talked, you and I, it was the day that we found out the Washington Nationals were not bringing back Dusty Baker. Now we fast forward. Davey Martinez is in that spot, and he said I could call him Dave or Davey. He doesn't care. But how was he on that intro press conference day? Was he well received?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think there's still a little bit of a transition period here. A lot of fans I know are kind of mourning Dusty Baker's departure and questioning why that was the right move when he had won 2 division titles in 2 years. I don't think that will reflect poorly on Davey Martinez as the fan base gets to know him, as we get to know him. He's somebody who, if you ask around in baseball, kind of has universal respect. He's never managed a game. He's not done this at any level, so we don't know exactly his style and how he'll handle stuff in games. We do know that he's ridden shotgun with Joe Madden for more than a decade, so there's a lot of experience there. But it'll be a process. It'll be a process for the fans. It'll be a process for the team. It'll be a process for the organization as we get to learn more about Davey Martinez.
Do you think that he actually realizes how much pressure is going to be on him? Maybe not day one, because you figure the Nationals, with the roster that they have, will be a playoff team. But day one of the postseason, to get past that first round.
He'll learn it. I mean, I think Dusty felt it as he got to know the market a little bit better. And we've talked about this before, and players try to take themselves out of this equation. But, it's not just the Nationals that haven't gotten past the first round here. It's a slow build of frustration in this town with all their pro sports franchises. The Redskins Super Bowl title after the 1991 season is the last championship won here. So and the Capitals have had a ton of disappointments in the hockey playoffs in the spring, not getting past the second round. With this current crew that they have, the Wizards have not advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals as well. So this all kind of builds and it melds together. And Davey Martinez will learn about that over the course of the summer as the Nationals, as they hope, go for a 3rd straight division title.
And I say the window of opportunity potentially closing when you have Bryce Harper, a free agent after this season, Daniel Murphy, a free agent after this season. Their general manager, Mike Rizzo, could be a free agent after this season. Should we read anything into that this is his last year under contract? I think he's done a great job there.
Well, I mean, if you look at the Nationals since 2012, only the Dodgers have won more regular season games than the Nationals. They've got 4 division titles in that time. Mike Rizzo's been the GM the entire time. Obviously, that would be, in a normal circumstance, enough to keep your job. I do think that Rizzo's impending free agency is as important as Daniel Murphy's or Bryce Harper's with this team. I mean, you can envision a scouting and player development department replacing players of those caliber. It happens for every team in every town. And, there's a Victor Robles to replace Harper or a Wilmer Defoe to replace Murphy. How would the Nationals go about replacing Mike Rizzo, their general manager, for all of this sustained success? I don't think anybody knows the answer to that question. So if it gets late in the summer and an extension has not been done, I think those questions will be as important as the Murphy and Harper question.
And I know you'll be asking them. And yes, Mike Rizzo, I mean, he has made, I think, countless trades that have worked out well for this team. So you also mentioned Victor Robles, and I'd like to see him in a more prominent role this season. I think this is the year for him. So with that being said, do they actually have an outfield surplus? Adam Eaton's coming back too. Bryce is out there. And Michael Taylor was the best player for them in the postseason out there.
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. And you're right, Rizzo is not afraid to make an off-season trade or an in-season trade for that matter. But if you look at their off-season and you try to figure out, well, what do they need? They probably need a 5th starting pitcher, even if you slot him higher in the rotation if they go out and get somebody quality, because Joe Ross is out after Tommy John surgery last summer. And they do have, when you consider Taylor, not just Michael Taylor, but Brian Goodman, who showed flashes last year, 13 homers and something like 250 at-bats. And then Robles, the big question about, how much is he ready for? They put him on the postseason roster last year. That's an indication that they think he's ready for a lot, even at age 20. So I think that's where you look at the outfield when you think about where would the Nationals trade from if they were looking for a starting pitcher or looking for anything. I think Taylor and Goodwin would be in those conversations.
And what do you think they're looking for? Do they need another starter? Maybe not for the regular season, but for the postseason to go after Strasburg and Scherzer, and then also, of course, to beef up the bullpen, which everyone wants to do.
Well, they have, I think they're they're set with their back end of the bullpen in Madsen and Doolittle. They could strengthen there. Say they go and sign an established closer. You could knock those guys down to the 7th and 8th inning and be even stronger. They have other parts, veteran parts of the bullpen that they have to replace in Oliver Perez and Matt Albers, Joe Blanton, those types. But I do think they need a starter, and I think it doesn't have to just be a back end guy. As I said, Ross is out with Tommy John surgery. They pieced it together at the end of last season with the Edwin Jacksons of the world. I don't think that they're fully committed to Eric Fetty or A.J. Cole being ready to be a 30-start pitcher in the major leagues. So I would expect them to be aggressive and strengthen a strength. They've done it before. I mean, if you remember when they signed Scherzer originally, that was to add to a rotation that already included Strasburg and Jordan Zimmerman and Doug Fister and Gio Gonzalez, who's still here. People didn't think they needed it at that point. They got Scherzer, and that has been really the guy that they've hung their hat on for the past 3 seasons.
Last one for you, Barry. Did they throw, I don't know, $350+ million at Bryce this offseason just to see if he'll bite?
I don't think they might throw $350 at him, but I don't think that's going to be enough to get him to bite.
$450?
I think you're getting closer there.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, I really think, the Nationals are in a strange position in that they are one of the few teams to have signed a Scott Boras client to an extension prior to his free agency, and that's Strasburg. But that was a different situation. Strasburg had gotten comfortable in Washington. He appreciated the way the team had treated him through some injury stuff, as well as with the shutdown back in 2012. And so that was a bit different. I think you're going to see Harper and Boras swing for the fences next offseason and go for the record-breaking contract, not just to break it by $1 over $325 million Giancarlo Stanton contract, but really set a new standard for what a baseball player and what an American athlete can be worth. Whether the Nationals play in that kind of water, I'm not sure yet.
And it's going to be in his hometown too. It's going to be the best winter meetings ever next year. This one's going to be good.
Fun.
Next year's going to be the best ever.